Most people overpay for car insurance, not because they're careless, but because switching feels like too much hassle. That's why there's Jerry, your proactive insurance assistant. Jerry compares rates side by side from over 50 top insurers and helps you switch with ease. Jerry even tracks market rates and alerts you when it's best to shop. No spam calls, no hidden fees. Drivers who save with Jerry could save over $1,300 a year. Switch with confidence. Download the Jerry app or visit jerry.ai/Libsyn today. That's JERRY.ai/LIBSYN.
Back to school is busy enough. The last thing you need is shopping that makes it harder. Whether you're moving into a dorm, your first apartment, or just getting organized for the semester, Wayfair makes it easy to get everything you need in one place. Furniture, bedding, storage, decor, study essentials, all at prices you'll love, with fast shipping before move-in day. Get everything you need for back-to-school season. Shop Wayfair.com today.
Wayfair, every style, every home.
Hello, I'm Cass Dowding, and this is the Sentimental Gardener podcast. Before we get into today's episode, I wanted to share a couple of quick updates with you. Now in its second season, this podcast has been growing in a really beautiful, organic way. And as it continues to evolve, I'm exploring bringing on a small number of sponsors. The intention is to support the show in a way that still feels really aligned, thoughtful, considered, and genuinely useful to you as listeners. So if you're listening and you have a brand or a business that feels like it could be a good fit for the Sentimental Gardener podcast, I'd love to hear from you. You can send through an email to podcast@cassdowding.com.au. And alongside that, I've recently moved the community over from Substack to Patreon. It's a space where you can listen to ad-free episodes, access extra subscriber-only episodes of Sentimental Friends, ask questions for upcoming guests, and connect with other people who are a part of this world. So if you'd like to go a little deeper with the podcast, I'd love to see you there. If you'd prefer to just listen to the extra episodes of Sentimental Friends, you can also subscribe via Apple Podcasts. There's also a newsletter that comes out a few days after each episode with a question to reflect on, thoughts and reflections from other listeners, and any ideas or takeaways that come out of the episode conversation. You can join that list via my website, thesentimentalgardener.com. All right, that's enough housekeeping, so let's get into today's episode. This conversation started in a bit of an unexpected way. I met Tim Pilgrim at the Australian Landscape Conference, and at the time, I didn't actually know who he was or what his work looked like. But I remember the way he spoke about plants, and that kind of stuck with me. I couldn't really explain it at the time, but it just felt different. And then later on, when I looked up his work, it all made sense. Tim's a garden designer based in central Victoria, and his gardens have this really full, slightly wild feeling to them. They don't feel overworked or overly controlled, and they just feel like they sit well in the landscape. And the one thing that stayed with me from that first conversation was hearing that he's quite a sentimental gardener and that he carries plants with him from garden to garden, which I think tells you a lot about how he sees what he does. His book, Wild by Design, came out late last year, and it explores naturalistic garden in an Australian context, but also this bigger idea of working with place rather than trying to shape it into something it's not. So we talk about that and a whole lot more around how gardens evolve, how he approaches design, and the meaning that can sit behind the plants we choose to grow. So a huge warm welcome to my guest today, Tim Pilgrim. Thank you, Tim, for being my guest today on The Sentimental Gardener.
Thanks for coming.
We'll jump into where I normally start these podcasts, which is back in your earliest memories of gardens or green spaces or anything like that.
Yeah. There was two that come to mind, and I shared another one. one would be, well, both are at my grandparents' places, so they're kind of gardens and wild landscapes. But the first one is of my grandparents' place in Bendigo. When I was growing up, they were mad keen veggie growers, amongst other things. And my grandfather had this, and my grandmother had this amazing vegetable plot with hot houses, like polytunnels and pumping veggie beds and things. And I just remember, I was only 5 when they moved, but I can still kind of walk through the scene and, wondering what he was doing. Like he was this mad keen seed, like everyone did back then. They raised their own veggie seeds from scratch. It's not, you couldn't get a punnet of seedlings. So he had these hot water services and these tables with the copper pipe running through the sand on the tables that kind of created heat for the bottom of the seedlings to grow. And it wasn't until later that I understood actually what he was doing. But I was like, what is he doing with this, this crazy table and raising his seedlings? But yeah, it's funny. I was only 5 and I can still kind of walk through the polytunnel and out to the garden and then back through the shed to the, the silver birch in the front yard. And they loved camellias, all those classic, very inappropriate plants to grow in Bendigo. Rhododendrons. But yeah, fond memories. It was that really kind of cottage garden feel. And then the next one is of my other grandparents' property out in the bush in Lockwood, which is not very far from here. It's south of Bendigo. That's probably only 25 k's away. And they had a big, 10-acre property, which felt like, 100 acres at the time. And they had some big dams, and it was just in the bush, the scrappy, turned over, upside down land bush that'd been kind of cleared and mined. Yeah. But it was just this beautiful. I can still remember the smell after the rain and wattles and, the cassinia and the light hitting, the xerochrysums and stuff and, scaring roos and watching them come through. So, yeah, it's probably no coincidence. It wasn't intentional, but no coincidence that we ended back, so close to home, I suppose.
Was your home also around this area? And I should say this area is
Judgewarrungland.
Yeah.
In Central Victoria.
Central Victoria, yeah.
Yeah, so we're in Newstead. So we're not far we're west of Castlemaine, about 15 k's. And Lockwood is about 25 k's from here. And then I grew up in Golden Square in Bendigo. But yeah, so not far away at all. For better or worse, here we are.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
And it sounds like for you, landscape sticks out as part of the memories as well, like you're saying, the bush and things like that. Yeah. Yeah,
absolutely. I think we travel a lot. Like we go and see things, and we've been to places all over the world, and recently been on this big journey up. Did the half lap around Australia with the kids, and it was just, we go away all the time because it's the only chance we get to fully relax, I suppose, because, being at home, you kind of see all the things that have to be done.
Yeah.
And as much as I love gardening, I need a break from it sometimes. But what it does is give me way too many ideas about, what to do, how to translate that into the garden. But, so inspiring. It's always a huge point. And I'm always trying to, in my work, bring that in. I want to bring the wild in. I don't want this hugely manicured space. It needs to be kind of the balance of both, because it's not, I don't see gardens as, these human-centric spaces that, straight lines and clipped hedges. It doesn't resonate with me. So as much as I can kind of bring the shapes and the feeling and, some of the natural flora in and some of the exotic stuff that I like to use, kind of use that in a way to connect to the natural landscape. Oh yeah, that's what I'll do.
So good. I was going to ask you all about your recent trip, and let's just go straight into it.
Let's do it. Yeah.
Because I was really curious to hear what inspired you out in the landscape. Was it the way different plants grew together? Was it what actually grew that maybe you don't see growing or available in like cultivated in nurseries? Like, what did you take away from exploring like new landscapes as a landscape designer? And then, how do you put them into your designs, or do you not put them into your designs, if that makes sense?
What drew us out? I mean, we'd been dreaming of doing this for a long time, and I was kind of embarrassed when I was writing the book that it came to kind of in one of the I was talking about analysing wild landscapes and how you can kind of translate that into a garden scene and what you can take from them. And I got to the desert and I was like, oh my God, I haven't really spent much time at all into the desert. So it was very a very small paragraph or two on that. But man, it was just I knew it was going to be great and vast and beautiful and really very different to what I know. But I was just so blown away through the central desert. You kind of think of a desert, if you haven't been, as this big sandy, vast, it's all about the big sky and the red dirt, which it is to a certain extent, but it's incredibly fertile and diverse. And coming from Victoria, where it's such a densely populated state, everything's being cultivated and all of these exotic weeds. There's very minimal amounts of undisturbed natural landscape left.
So true.
But you go through the desert and you're so isolated, and you're seeing landscape, parts of it anyway, a lot more than you would in Victoria, that are undisturbed and as they would have been. So it was just through the central desert and Spinifex country that really kind of took me by surprise at how much I loved it. And just kind of analysing those, I mean, all of it was, we went up to, we had mates in Alice, we stayed there and explored around the east and west McDonnell Ranges and went up to Darwin, which is, I didn't know half of what I was seeing. It's so wild. It's like I could be in another country.
Yeah.
But then through the Kimberley, like all of that landscape through there, and then, you go through the West Coast and you drive for days and not see a single soul and not see a tree.
Oh, really?
I
haven't been out there.
Parts of it, yeah. But it was amazing. I was pulling over and driving my family mad half the time, just pulling over on the side of the road going, what is that? What is that? I think I bought 6 books while I was away just on, wildflowers of the area or whatever.
Yeah.
But pulling over for photos and making Hadley take photos of me in the Thai lotus fields and things. But it was taking photos and then analysing or just staring for a long time and analysing, the repetition and, the big ribbons of how things grow and what's dominating and what's firing at one moment and then what's going to come next. And I think that's in a roundabout kind of way, what I like to do with landscape is to analyse them and go, oh, okay, I can see what Mother Nature's done here or trying to do here, and how can I, not replicate, because it's she's the best. You can't really compete, but it doesn't mean I'm not going to stop trying until I die.
Yeah. But taking inspiration from
natural systems as well as aesthetic.
Yes.
Yeah. See how things respond to certain pressures and climate and wind and all of those things. And so it is about the aesthetic because that's the thing that draws you in. But it's so much more than that. It's about these systems that we can actually learn a hell of a lot off if we just kind of change our idea about how we manage our spaces, so we get rid of herbicides and pesticides and importing, all this ridiculous material from, bloody Brazil and China and all this stuff, and go, how can we bring more of nature in, and how if we just pause for a minute and don't reach for the sprays, what happens out there?
When you looked at the landscapes, when you went around the top and the west coast of Australia, do you see there are like are there weeds?
Oh, there's weeds,
But
yeah.
how does nature, or how did you observe that it was managed naturally?
I knew a lot of what was growing there. I mean, there was certain sections that you could see that was a weed or two there. But there was certainly a lot that I kept referring back to, man, if this was a Victorian landscape, it would be just dominated by this,
Yeah,
and
okay.
this. But it really wasn't. There's a lot of burning that
Okay.
happens as natural, like that people actually manage the further north you get as well, which is so incredible. Like, imagine if we could do that a bit more down south, like the cool burning stuff. But yeah, look, there is weeds, and even seeing I pull over on the side of the road all the time and observe weeds
Okay.
growing next to native things, and just to kind of think about how the natural landscape's responding or being dominated most of the time by these weeds. It sounds awful, but there's still beauty in it. There's still like seed heads and movement and things to observe. And there's a lesson on, what not to do as well as, what to do from an aesthetic point of view. So yeah, I think there's a huge amount to learn in all of that.
So with aesthetics, you're talking about how it's really important that draws people in. How important is it though in your work as a designer? Like, do you start with aesthetics or do you start another way?
I used to. I used to start with aesthetics, but I think it's just now for me, it's such a small part of the picture.
Wow.
I don't want to make anything I think is not beautiful. And, I care less maybe about how people perceive what I think is beautiful. But you do to a certain degree, like talking about naturalism and wild gardens, you are trying to teach people to see a little bit differently. Look at a plant past its perceived prime. There's so much to see past flowering and all the benefits of leaving something kind of stand into decay. And it's a very small part, but it's a thing that hooks people. So it's important. But it's about the systems and making sure that you're being really sensitive to place. Sense of place is a huge one. And, so that's taking in, the cultural parts of where you are on a site. It's taking in the colonial history of a place as well. It's taking in the borrowed landscape and how you connect with that. And it's observing kind of, what weeds are growing, how we can mitigate that. What I've observed, at a site meeting about the bird life or marsupials and how we can kind of, make space for them. And it's always through plant-driven design that you kind of bring these things and create kind of this balance. So I think as long as you kind of lean into diversity and you try and leave as much of the natural landscape alone and leave maturity as much as possible in the garden as well, because you don't want to clear fell.
Yeah, I was going to ask you that. Like when you go in, are you respecting what's already been done, or are you working in gardens where they start from scratch, or it's already got stuff in there, or are you working across lots of different types of gardens?
Yeah, lots of different. Yeah, so it's a mix, but I try as little as possible to cut into landscape. I like to work with the natural flow of a space. And there's, if it's a clear site, you've kind of got more options because you can reintroduce an entire, dreamscape, really, a new vision. But if there's trees and established shrubs and things, I always try and work with them. And that's why I like to be there on site when a garden's being built, because often I'll be there with a landscaper and go, okay, can we just leave this? And when it comes time to install, I'll prune it up and see if I can make this, scraggly thing look half decent. Because it is something's home. And it brings in instant sense of maturity to a garden. think it's really important.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you see people like designers who go into a garden, they've designed a garden and it's from scratch, and they post we talk about social media, Instagram, and they post the plant out. And then I love that a lot of them have like a caveat like, can't wait till 2 years till it looks like the garden.
Yeah.
And it's just one of those things, you just have to wait for it to develop. But yeah, just how beneficial having those mature structures already are into helping people understand that it's been a garden and it's still becoming a garden. And I loved what you said about how those mature trees are someone's home.
Yeah.
Because it's a reminder, isn't it, about we all have a place, and just shows that how much you respect nature. And I suppose that more ecological conversation of that we're all a part of the space around us. So that's just beautiful.
Yeah. Well, we're at my garden now, and it's built around one of the most ugliest trees you've ever seen. The poor thing. It's an old yellow box.
Yeah.
And we've got the fire pit around it now, and it had been the previous owners cut it off at about 6 meters high because it was shading the solar panels. And so as a result, it's got this rapid growth of, suckers. And my first initial thought when we got here was like, get rid of that. It's no good. I mean, it does have a really nice trunk, and if you're just kind of looking at it from, eye level and just above, it just looks like a half decent tree. But you look up and it's not the prettiest thing, but we kept finding ourselves being drawn to that space because it was the only bit of shade close enough to the house. And the more we sat there and had fires and kind of looked around, the more we'd observe, pardalotes that were using the space and all these other little birds, and you'd see them collecting material for their nest and bringing it back. And I just couldn't take it out anymore. My wife never wanted to.
Yep.
Hadley was like, no, we should leave that, of course. And she was right. And so that was the pebble in the water, and everything rippled from that. So it's become, for better or worse, the center point of the garden. But it brings a natural landscape in as well. It's like the final resting spot of all the gums that we can see in the rest of the landscape.
And speaking about Hadley, she works in conservation, is that right? But she also works as part of your business now?
Yeah. Yeah, we started TV Gardens 13 or 14 years ago together. Before I left Diggers, actually. And she was integral in getting the business going, and giving me the push in the right direction that I needed. And she's since, she's come and gone, but she's back now, which is really nice. Working with us a couple of days a week, and still doing some conservation stuff at a connecting country in a not-for-profit in Castlemaine.
Oh, so good.
Yeah, it's good. It's really good to have her knowledge bank in what we do, because we can refer back, and she knows so many people in the industry around here, and we can ask her about, specific local species that might be valuable in certain areas. So that's great.
Can I also ask about who else works in your business?
You can.
Yeah.
It is a very, very large business. No, there's me and Josie Ryder. She's been with us for 4.5 years, maybe a little longer. She works 4 days a week, as do I. We call ourselves full-time, but I get sucked into 5 days most weeks anyway. But we work in a studio that we're sitting in right now at the back of the garden, and we have transitioned from doing a very broad list of jobs like maintenance, gardening, landscaping, growing plants, installing, planting designs. We were doing plant selections for a while as well as design. And when she started, we were on another property not far from here, and we were running a small-scale market garden as well.
Oh, wow.
So she came at a particularly important time, which was really good, because me and Hadley had just had Digby, my youngest boy, and I was trying to work out ways of being at home a bit more.
Mm-hmm.
And little did I know that it was staring me right in the face that I was turning away garden design
Wow.
for loyalty to ongoing maintenance clients.
Okay.
So I was out and on the tools all the time, and I was trying to work out ways that I could, be at home a bit more. And that in my sleep deprived mind was to start a market garden with a baby on our back. So it did keep us at home a day a week, but it also kind of strung us out a lot, and everything was a bit thin. And so Josie was that very important third set of eyes that kind of went, hey, mate, you've got all this stuff. Let's just dial in, and what can we maybe let go of? So it's been a very fast evolution over the last kind of 5 years from all of those things to now just concentrating on design. Yeah. Ecologically sensitive design and plant-driven, which is great because I get to create new gardens every day, which is excellent. I mean, I'd love to be outside a bit more, but it's really nice, and we have a really good relationship. We play off each other's strengths really well, and it's always hard when you're creating garden by yourself because you don't have that sounding board, and I'm lucky that I have. And now that Hadley's back on board, we're balancing things out even more, and it's that's good. We're gonna need a new office soon because it's getting pretty tight now. 2.5 by 4 meter studio, but it's great.
Oh, that's so lovely to hear.
Yeah.
How do you feel now when you sit back and you reflect on your journey? And we haven't really covered like your journey up to this point. We can, but how do you feel sitting back and reflecting and the place that you are now? Do you feel like you've found your place in garden design as a designer?
Yeah, I do. It's a crazy journey, and I haven't done anything easily. It's all been hard graft, and I think you always want a little bit what you don't have, but I understand how incredibly privileged I am now to be getting all this amazing work and to have the opportunity to write books and connect with other designers and gardeners. But it's been a wild ride. It's been nearly 20 years of running a business and gardening full time, and I'm so proud of the place that I come from.
Awesome.
Which was, horticulture, studying horticulture when I was a teenager. And
straight out of school. Well, you left school, didn't you?
I left school to study horticulture.
Studied horticulture.
Yeah. And it's great. I think without that background, I wouldn't be the designer that I want to be, which is very plant focused. I always have to trial plants and combinations before I experiment too much on my clients. But it's good. I think now being able to design gardens and grow so many more, that my knowledge base and I'm just learning so much because I'm doing new things at new climates, new areas, and so I'm learning so much more than I could have just gardening full time. So it's filling my creative cup as well as my my knowledge and thirst for plants and how they grow together.
And you've come from quite a varied background because you studied horticulture, but then you journeyed into the world of turf management. Is that what we call it? Turf?
I think so.
Turf? I don't know, lawn management?
Yeah.
Can you briefly share about that part of your life where you moved overseas even and worked at a tennis court?
Yeah. Well, I was faced with the ultimatum in year 11 of either start showing up to school or you're out. And so I went, oh well, I better drop out because my heart wasn't in it. I wasn't very studious, so I didn't feel challenged.
Okay.
So what I did was, the first thing I thought to do was to study horticulture. So I dropped out, went straight into an intensive year of a Cert 4 in horticulture at the Bendigo TAFE. And after that, was kind of at a loss about what to do. So I just met Hadley and a lot of my mates were going to uni in Melbourne, so I followed them to Melbourne and started working in retail plant nurseries.
Okay.
Which was really great. It was an awesome first thing to do, but I wasn't kind of getting enough hours. That's where I kind of started doing a little bit of cash in hand maintenance work at the time. And so this job came up for a gardener at a private school in Melbourne at Scotch College. And I started on the gardens crew, but soon got kind of sucked into the bigger crew, which was the turf management side. They had 7 ovals.
Wow.
On site, and then we managed another probably 7 off site.
Wow.
And I just loved it. Although it was, it's very boring for me to think back to now and think about how much I did love it. But, I was making cricket wickets, which is a real art too, getting that right. I was looking after football grounds, athletics grounds. We're marking all of those out. All sorts of stuff. Like I still love that kind of process of mowing a straight line.
Do you?
Yeah, but it was great in that I got to work with a big crew of people. I could still, be across the garden side of things, but it took me overseas. So I was lucky enough to apply for a job at Wimbledon, and so I was granted 12 months leave from Scotch to go and work there.
Just a small tennis court.
Yeah, just a small tennis court.
Yeah.
I think they had 22 courts.
Wow.
Plus a heap of practice ones. But that was great. There was 20. I went from 10 people at Scotch to 25 working over the championship and Davis Cup.
Yeah.
It was great. I got to mow centre court for the championship, and it was a really awesome experience for a young. I think I was 24 or 25, and I had an absolute blast. Met heaps of really good people over there, but from then we went travelling, and I kind of got the travel bug, and I went back to Scotch for a year and did turf, and went travelling again, and came back thinking I need to get back into gardening, and I swapped one species to this plethora of plants.
Yeah.
So I had a mate who had just taken on the head gardener's job at Gardeners on Earth. He's now head of gardens at Diggers, Julian Blackhurst. We grew up together in Bendigo.
Oh, wow.
And he heard I was coming home, and he said, I've got a job for you if you come and move up here, Blackwood. So that's it. And the rest is history. I stayed there for 5 years, around about, and started my business on the side while I was working there. It's hard to think now in your 20s that you can have a full-time job and then start another business on the side, but it was great. I just absolutely fell in love with it. It was such a huge education in such a broad range of garden styles and techniques. We had shade gardens and bog gardens, and I helped Andrew Laidlaw with a new native garden that was built at the time, which was huge because I got to work with a leading landscaper and work with landscapers and see how all that was done. And I was running workshops, and I was running the permaculture food forest garden and growing vegetables and pulling apart borders every year. And
is that what they do at St. Earth? They redo the borders every year?
Not every year, but we always, when I was there at least, it was always very heavily critiqued. We just lived and breathed it. So we'd go, oh, that's not really working this year, and what are we going to do next year? And that was really fun. I got thrown in the deep end and absolutely loved it. Yeah. It was really hard to leave, but it was time for me to do my own thing.
Yeah. What a journey. How do you feel about turf now? I talk to some people, or I listen to some designers, and some people are like, rip it out, get rid of it. It means more garden bed space. But you said that you still really like that process of straight lines. Is there room for both, or it's just one of those things that we do based on what the client wants?
I mean, I do see a lawn now and go, man, what you could plant in that space.
Okay.
But at the same time, there's I love walking outside and being able to walk onto a lawn barefoot, because, although it is monocrop, it's just one little species, and it's a lot of maintenance compared to one of my planted beds anyway, especially if you're in a damper climate or you're irrigated. But it does take a lot of irrigation, and to do a lawn, like a croquet lawn or a tennis court, like it's a huge amount of input that goes into it, which I'm not really into the idea of anymore. But I go down to the local footy ground and see people mowing patterns on the big ride-ons and going, oh, I wish I could do that. No, as in I'd love to have another go.
Yeah.
I think it was the meditative part of it that I really liked. You could really, you really just tuned into what you were doing. There was no other noise. And that's why I like gardening, because there's nothing to kind of distract you. You're totally connected with, what you're doing, which is becoming rarer and rarer in our society. So, yeah, look, I don't like to design gardens that are very lawn-centric, but a little bit's okay. I think, although I design naturalistic gardens that kind of try and include every living thing, we are one of those living things. And if it's beneficial to us from if it brings you joy and it pulls you outside to be in the space and interact with the garden more, then I think that's okay.
Yeah, it's a great answer.
I'm not going to irrigate my lawn really heavily with drinking water, but having a little green space that is for you to put a picnic rug out on and, enjoy a little glass of bubbles or something, looking back at the garden, then why not?
Yeah, that's such a great answer. And sometimes with kids and being, if you're in the suburbs, that's a normal part of the garden. Well, it has been for so long, hasn't it? That backyard green lawn or the verge at the front. So
absolutely.
Yeah, you can't just go rip them all up at the end of the day. And that actually brings me into this thought about a thread I read throughout the book was an idea of sustainability. And I'm just thinking about, ripping up lawn really kind of is a waste if you just go in and rip a whole thing up, isn't it? But then bringing sustainability into the conversation in naturalistic gardens seems to be quite an important thing that you speak about. Are you able to speak a little bit more about, sustainability and that philosophy throughout your garden design?
Yeah, well, I think it's about building resilient spaces that don't require a huge amount of maintenance, for one. They don't require a huge amount of input. They're spaces that should look at reclaiming and reusing and recycling before you import anything.
Okay.
So we're reducing our carbon footprint. This is all me. This is my version of what I believe naturalism should be, at least in an Australian context. It's reusing what we have first before we kind of bring in, a product from South Australia or China or Brazil. It's madness, this industry, when you kind of scratch the surface and look at what we think we need.
Yeah.
We don't need to put rocks on ships and sail them across oceans. We have plenty here.
It's so true.
It's fine. It's fine. It's about, being sensitive to the landscape that surrounds you. It's through the appropriate planting that doesn't require too much irrigation, especially of, drinking water. That's been my big thing now, and what I'm doing out here in my garden is, for want of a better term, but I'm torturing my plants. I want to see how they go without any subsequent irrigation, because I don't have tanks yet. I don't have any recycled water yet. I'm planning on doing both.
Yeah.
And, I don't want to – I have a sookie bed, I call it, that of plants that I'm just too attached to.
Okay.
That I still want to, see little bits of work and that need a bit of subsequent irrigation that, when we weren't getting any rain in September, I did one water and that's all I've done. But it was just mimicking that. We just needed that rain that time to get things going. Otherwise, I would have lost even more plants. Okay. I'm getting a bit sidetracked here, but really it's about kind of building resilient gardens that are very sensitive to place, that reduces our carbon footprint, reduces our need for herbicides, pesticides, all of these things, and encourages a bit more ecological equilibrium and balance in our gardens.
Mm.
And that's through planting, knowing the right plant for the right place, which is huge. And that's what I'm all about, is trying to learn more and more about how we can use not only our local flora, but the exotic plants that have similar climatic conditions, you know, in similar areas around the world, and how I can kind of pair them and, you know, build biodiversity through, you know, evergreens, herbaceous materials, shrubs, trees, deciduous stuff, you know, everything. Just trying to build plant-driven spaces that are easy on the eyes as well.
It's a challenge, but you do it so well.
Oh, thanks. I try. I'll keep trying. It's
But I think that's part of it, isn't it? Trying.
Yeah.
And seeing what you have, and then you've got to be creative and have an imagination, don't you?
Yeah.
And what I love about what people like you are doing is having a try, doing it, putting it out there, and then other people can see that it's possible, or at least we become aware of the conversation.
Yeah.
And then we're like, then we take that back to our space, or if you're a garden designer, you take that back to your designs, and maybe you'll rethink buying edging from the shop, and you might be able to find it, you know, recycled somewhere else. Like all those little things that we can do to help reduce that footprint. Like you said, like the thought of bringing rocks from another country to your country,
But
like
we do it.
we just accept it, don't we? But yeah, we need people like you who are reminding us to like, hang on, what are we doing here?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, the stone that I have on my site here, this space was once a really very loved manicured garden.
Oh, really?
By an old couple.
Oh.
The people who bought it after them and before us cleared it all out. But there's still these big piles of stone everywhere, and it's not a stone that I would choose. But I know it's local and it's from the place, so it feels right. And it's sitting there. I'm not going to buy more rock when I have it there. And it becomes, you know, it's very ramshackle the way I've thrown it all together, but you're kind of looking at it going, well, it's good that it doesn't all fit together there. You know, I've got blue-tongued lizards kind of making homes in there now.
That's so cool.
Yeah, I've got plants starting to self-sow in little cracks and things, and bringing a lot more maturity to the garden. And, you know, I've got all these fence posts that were here. We knocked down a fence, so I'm using these horrible-looking treated pine posts, but I didn't want to get rid of them in favour of bringing something else in. So, yeah, it's not just about, you know, reusing what you have, but it's a huge part of it. Just being sensitive as gardeners and designers and conscious about what we're doing and what we're creating, because we can be huge cause of the problem,
right?
Of you know, climate change and you know, adding to the carbon footprint that we already have. Or we can be the cure. You know, we can create these mosaics and you know, places of respite for everything that passes through and uses it for food and habitat and you know, shelter. So I like to think of it like that. We're just kind of one part of the patchwork quilt of where we are, and we're connecting all these little spaces. We're just kind of conduits that connect them all together.
I'm sitting here staring at a wall full of magazines of all the beautiful gardens you've designed, and I'll share a picture of that in the show notes. But when you said patchwork quilt, that's what this sort of reminded me of when you said it. It is like all these little pieces of colour that have been patched together. And what a beautiful thought that, yeah, you've helped to create those small spaces and conduits, especially if you design in a certain area or something. But yeah, the gardens you design are so beautiful, very frothy, because there's another picture here
frothy.
that says frothy.
They are, might you add. I spoke to you about this offline, that I just want it to be known that it's not because I'm a bragger and I want to show how wonderful it is, all these gardens, Vina magazines and whatever. It's very much about putting my own severe imposter syndrome to rest when we're creating these gardens and going, because there's always doubt anyway about what I do and whether I should be here, and going, see, I can do it, that's a beautiful garden, and, I'm just trying to share what I've learnt, and I want it to be a conversation. I don't want to be the authority on anything. I want to learn more, and that's what I've done through writing this book, I hope, is that I've sparked some conversation that'll continue from it. So, yeah, that's what this wall of whatever it is. It's not a pat on the back.
No, it's a great thing to talk about or to mention that you too suffer from imposter syndrome, as we were talking a bit before we started recording, because a lot of designers that I've talked to so far on the podcast talk about that. And if we think about design, any type of design involving imagination, and there's a brief, and creativity, you come up with the idea, but then you've got to present it to the client. And then there's that moment where there's a thrill. I think I was talking to someone about it the other day. For me, it's when I'm writing about gardens or someone's giving me a brief and I go away and I pull it together. But then you send it in, or maybe you present it to a client, and then you sit there and you're waiting for the feedback and did I meet it?
Yeah.
Have I met the expectation? And I think we all go through that, no matter what creative industry you're in.
Yeah.
And I have heard that people who suffer from imposter syndrome are some of the most empathetic humans on the earth. So there you go.
A good thing. I think it's healthy to a certain degree, because you're always wanting to be, you're driven to be better, I suppose, all the time, and be a bit more sensitive. But yeah, I think a healthy dose is okay. It's just when it gets a bit too far the other way.
Oh, yeah, for sure, for sure. You need those people to bring you back down and get grounded.
Yeah.
But you also mentioned before we started recording that you haven't gone to do like a course in garden design or one of those traditional, done landscape architectural things. How did you learn how to put planting designs and things together?
It's like anything I've done. It's all trial and error.
Okay.
It's all the hard way. But it's the way that I have to learn, and I know that about myself. I've often thought through the journey of, creating gardens and coming up with their own systems of design that, man, I should go and study. But I was like, well, I'm already doing it now and getting paid to do it anyway. So why don't I I'm a fairly prolific reader and researcher. So if I get kind of honed in on something, I'll research it and look it up and read about it a lot. I'm also very annoying at asking questions of everyone, how they're doing them. And I've had some really generous, mentors and people who have really helped and shown me what they've done, because it's not really spoken about enough or shared enough, I don't think, between designers on how you work, because everybody works a little bit differently. I'm sure it would have sure it would have been a lot easier if I had done some kind of education, like formal education in the business sense. But I feel like our systems are really kind of working for us now, but we're constantly refining them. So, it never goes perfectly. There's always the difficult client who, throws a spanner in the works and goes, well, this wasn't very clear and this wasn't clear. And every time that happens, after we get over oh my God, we're not good enough to do this, it's, okay, what lesson are we going to take from this, and how can we be clearer and better communicators? Because that's all it comes down to with design in any sense. When you're coming up with a concept to create this thing driven by a brief, is that you need to be able to communicate. Because that's, you need to communicate the vision. This is how I see the garden evolving and maturing. And so we use whatever tools we think are right for us to kind of get that across. So, no formal training, but I'm okay with it.
That's good. And I think it's important to talk about that, because not everyone has access to training, and some courses cost a lot,
Yeah.
which is okay because, they're people teaching have a lot of skill and it takes a lot of time. But, as everyone's sick of hearing the world is changing, but it is true. There is
Yeah.
so much access to information.
Yeah.
And if you have that internal drive to say, hey, I can already see something or I'm already doing something,
Yeah.
you don't need a permission slip necessarily. Well, you're proof that you don't need the piece of paper to
That's
be
right.
successfully a garden designer that people are really
Yeah.
wanting to work with.
Well, I'm lucky that when you have when you've been doing it for so many years, that there is kind of proof and a few pretty pictures that can suggest that you can do it once and you can do it again.
Yeah. Well, thinking of when you said that not a lot of designers talk about how they also design, in your book Wild by Design, you actually featured other people and their gardens, and most of them were designers.
Mm-hmm.
How did you come up with who to interview or to pop into the book?
Oh, I had a long list, and that was a huge part of. I was asked to write the book by Murdoch, and when I had to write the synopsis for it, it was that I didn't. One thing I knew for certain was that I didn't want to be the authority on naturalism in Australia. I wanted to share what I'd learnt from firsthand experience, and then talk to others about how they see this rather nebulous kind of term, naturalism or wild gardening, what their inspirations are, all of these different things. And so Ralph Bristow was the first person I thought of because I just think he's an artist. He is an artist in more ways than one. So there's a few people that I knew straight away, but there's a few people who said no.
Oh.
For whatever reason.
Yeah.
And I was so, I was disappointed. I was sad at the start, but then it sparked these friendships and conversations since. And to be honest, it's been the best part of writing this book is being almost having, not that you need an excuse and you shouldn't, we should all be talking to each other more. That's why what you're doing is so important, that it gives you a chance to kind of share other people's, journeys in this field with a bigger audience. But I had something to come to these people with and say, could you be in the book? Can I, interview you and see, how you tick? And so I wanted to cover as much ground as I could in Australia, in the Australian context. It was very hard, I felt, in WA and up in Queensland to find anyone doing this kind of style of gardens.
Right.
I'm sure there are plenty, and I'm not meaning that in a bad way at all. But it was hard in the end to narrow it down to 6 people. But I think we got struck a really nice balance, and people with training, people with coming from different angles. So there was this artistic theme that ran right through. Anne-Marie Winter was one. She's a real artist, the way she puts things together. Ralph, of course, he's got this vast garden of just, you can see him in his garden. That's what I love about this kind of this style. You can see somebody's personality in their planting and all the crazy stuff they do.
Yeah.
It was hard to narrow it down, but I think it was good. We struck a really good balance. I think that's a long-winded answer, and I'm probably off topic.
No, it's great. I think it's awesome. What's a huge takeaway you got about naturalistic garden design by interviewing all those different people? Did it show you anything new, or because you said you don't want to be the authority on naturalistic gardening? Like, what did you learn?
Oh, I learned a lot. I mean, it was, very simply, you might say that naturalistic gardens or wild gardens are kind of gardens inspired by nature.
Yeah.
Which they are to a large extent. It's where you draw a lot of inspiration from. It's where I did. But not everyone does that. And it's made me realize that it's other people's take on what naturalism is and seeing how they translate that into their space. That is actually where a lot of the inspiration comes from.
Mm.
So I think it's kind of accidental a lot of the time. But then people find that, that's what they were subconsciously reacting to once something like this vision or idea comes to fruition. Like they're picking out colours in landscape and bringing them back into the garden, bringing them into the fold a little bit more.
Okay.
Yeah, I can't even narrow it down to one thing. I mean, Kurt Wilkinson comes at it from a totally different angle. He's almost like a brutalist. He's worse than me. Like he was fighting with Phytophthora in the Adelaide Hills, which is, a disease that wiped out a lot of different plant material. But he's also fighting with 50-degree temperatures and, -5s and 300 mil of rain until October, and then everything's gone. A very extreme landscape. And what he's managed to do with a very little plant material diversity, but doubling down on repetition and contrasting form with wild, and his take on it. Just the way he speaks is so fascinating. And, Ralph is a bit more romantic about
that's
things.
a great way to put it. Yeah.
Yeah, he is. He's just so passionate. And I drink in every word because you can see how much he loves it.
It's so good.
Also, I love the Lady Smith Park perennials. They're coming at it from a real the cottage end, which is where I kind of cut my teeth, I suppose. My first love was kind of cottage gardens, using a lot of blousy perennials and that real maximalist style. And theirs is from it's probably, and I hope I'm not putting words in their mouth, but a very European, UK-centric probably space, but it really works in their context. Yeah, I mean, I spoke to, over these 6 interviews, I think I spoke to Ralph for 4 hours. I spoke to Kurt for 3. Everyone else was, for 2 or 3 hours as well. So it was just a lot. It blew my mind. And I think every one of the interviews is being cut down to about 1,800 words, but I wrote at least 5,000
It's
for
hard,
each.
isn't it?
Yeah, to whittle it down. And I was happy with that. I wanted to kind of blurt it out, and the editors to kind of make sense of it. But I'm still learning too. I thought that writing a book would answer all these questions, but I've come away with so many more and so many other ideas. It's just, I just want to get outside and do it.
That's so good.
Mm.
Yeah, it sounds like we all need to keep sharing at
Yeah.
the end of the day.
Absolutely.
Yep, and learning from each other.
Yeah.
And the thing that I've taken away from listening to you and because Ralph's been on the podcast and reading the book, and I've been in some naturalistic gardens. I think the first naturalistic style of garden I had ever been in was Jack Semler and also Joe Ferguson.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, amazing. But I then became a bit confused because I thought it meant perennial style garden, but then through discovering people like Kurt and understand, well, that's actually naturalistic. And then when I talked to Fleur Flannery on another episode, she talked about how Steve Martino, his gardens are actually naturalistic for Arizona or wherever he is. So, what I'm loving on this journey of discovering all of these different designers and the term naturalistic wild gardening, it's not just one aesthetic. It's what you talk about. It's the systems. It's the connection to land and the connection to people. And just wanting to come back into that connection to people thread, I understand that you've previously had another garden before you moved here, and there's a quote in the book or somewhere I've read that when you moved house into your new spot, you brought probably like more plants than you did furniture or personal belongings.
Yes, I did.
And that, taking cuttings and collecting all of those I suppose sentimental plants has been a big part of your journey as a gardener. Would you be able to share 3 sentimental plants with us and a little bit about what they mean to you and why they're so special?
Yeah, well, it's very hard for me to whittle down plants. And I knew I did do prep in that I thought about it a lot, but I haven't come up with I can talk about the process first of moving gardens, which I've done now 3 times.
Oh, right.
3, maybe, 3 times. Is that I've very I'll look at a plant in my garden and I know exactly who gave it to me and where it came from. So I've got plants out there that I can see that Dennis Norgate, the old plantsman in Trentham, who's not with us anymore, but he was in the industry for many years. He gave me, I remember him digging up clumps of that Calamagrostis that I've, carted around everywhere. I can see plants from St. Earth that I've cultivated and just kept moving around. I can see, other mentors, Jack Marshall at Frogmore Nurseries. He was a real mentor to me and gave me a lot of plants. Friends who give me cuttings, not even knowing what they are, and I still can't name the cultivar, which is okay.
Yeah.
So I love looking around my garden and knowing where everything come from. But I suppose if it's 3 sentimental plants, it's hard, isn't it? Because I've got my first memory of being really taken by a plant is bugging my mum at a nursery on the weekend when I was 5 or 6 to buy me a plant. And it was a Osteospermum. I can't tell you the cultivar, but, it's that classic kind of daisy. And putting it in the ground in the backyard and just it taking off. And it did so well that it kind of flooded everything else. It took over one side and we had to kind of cut it out eventually, but being like, whoa, I'm so good at this. This is great. Well, how magic that, we can put one little thing in the ground and it just grows so wild. I was in Tassie last week and I saw it as an absolute horrible weed on the coast, that exact plant. And so it's not that I like the plant, but I'm sentimental about that kind of thought, and maybe it's just daisies. I love all asters. I've got way too many of them, and way too many of them don't like where they are in
so hard,
the central Victorian goldfields. I would say that another one would have to be from this box ironbark forest. It would have to be, I'm still really learning a lot about native cultivation and growing native. Well, let's not say native. Let's say local species. Where we are, there's incredible amount to learn, and in blending them with the perennials and things that I love to grow. And it's so exciting. I think it's not enough has been done to kind of grow them in a naturalistic sense. Like when I say that, it's in that that look that we think of with perennials that I love. It's probably a very Eurocentric version of it, but integrating them into these exotic garden plants that we know how to work. How can we use those and blend them, which a lot of people are doing really well. But it's such a common plant, again, like that bloody daisy, but it's xerochrysum, the bloody, what is it? Villosum? The paper daisy.
Oh, yeah.
Another daisy.
Daisies.
Yeah. But it just, I can close my eyes and that's the first thing I see when I kind of walk through my grandparents' property when I was young. It's the first thing I see this time of year when I run up in the forest behind my house. And yeah, it's just, they're so generous. They don't take any water. They'll be very gently move around your garden. They dry as a cut flower. They're supporting local ecology and they just fit so well in what we're doing. So what's that? That's 2. What would the other one be? Oh, the other one would probably, if I had to choose one plant that I have carried around with me from the beginning, it would be the first plant that I saw when I walked in the gate at to meet Julian at the Garden of St. Earth was Nepeta Fascenii, Walker's Low, that lines the path on the way up. The first day of work that I started there, I took a cutting, one little cutting, and every one of those plants that I have, planted in a client's garden that I've grown on has been from that one cutting.
Oh, wow.
It's just so good in dry once it's established. It's really good in the damp. It's forgiving through those La Nina years, sitting in heavy clay soil and being flooded. It always bounces back. It smells good. It's a bee magnet. It's the most beautiful, what would you call it, lavender mauve kind of flowers. You can cut it back to the stumps up to 6 times a year. It'll come back. Or you can let it grow and it dries really well as a seed head. Never self-sows anywhere for me, always very well behaved. And it goes with almost any colour you put it with. So
I love that
I'll
one.
always grow that.
So what did you say that all of the plants that you pop into your clients' gardens have come from that one cutting, or most of them?
Yeah, most of that that species,
that's so cool.
Yeah.
That's what I love about if you focus on the memories attached to plants rather than just aesthetic sometime or their popularity if they're everywhere, is that you can move past that, can't you, and be transported back to those special places and special people.
Yeah. Well, those 3 kind of work. Like one is a horrible weed that I'd never ever planted in one of my gardens that I don't actually find that pretty, but it sparks this special memory. The other one is very common and everyone knows it. It's just growing, on the footpath just out, side on, next to the road here as well as in my garden. And the other one's, somewhere in the middle there of sentimentality, I think.
Yeah, so good.
Yeah.
So I'm going to do some quick fire questions, but I wanted to just ask you before we jump into the quick fire questions a little bit about writing a garden book and what that journey was like for you.
Yeah, it was, it's amazing to be asked. I just couldn't believe somebody would ask me to write a book. So I was very flattered initially, and I still am, but I was very hesitant. I parked it for a good 6 months because I was, it was that bloody imposter syndrome again that crept in, and I just felt there was so many more people better placed than I to write a book on naturalism in Australia. And people have, but I suppose it's kind of my brand and trying to unpack. I wanted to treat the book, if I was going to write it, as this big question about what it is and what I see it is and what I'm learning along the way and, talking to people. And I really didn't, if I was going to write it, it couldn't be from an academic standpoint. I had to connect with everyone. So I wanted to connect with designers and professional gardeners, people in the field, but I also felt it was really important to write a book that could be easily enough translated to someone just starting out and wanting to understand, what is this thing? And so it was a question that got the better of me. My curiosity kind of took over and, I submitted a synopsis, which I didn't know. I'd heard the word, but I never knew what it was, which was great because it meant that I had to think about what I wanted to say in this book. I wanted there to be those 6 interviewers. I wanted it to be a very hands-on book of my experience and firsthand trial and error, I suppose. So I suppose I've always been and still am a very instinctive gardener. So I never really thought about the process and how I made gardens. So it was a really, on a selfish point of view, very really valuable exercise in figuring out what my systems are in making these gardens and dialing them in and writing it taught me a lot more about myself, which was really nice. So I really enjoyed it. I mean, I went into it going, well, I'll just put half a Friday away a week to write it. Over 6 months, that should be enough, which I did for the first 3 and soon realised that wouldn't be enough. And so it started off as this really kind of wonderful process of just kind of swanning in and swanning out and writing the book. And then the pressure kind of stacks up and you have to meet deadlines and things. Not that it was any less enjoyable, but that's a lot of work to write a book on top of, raising a young family and
running a full-time business.
Running a full-time business and keeping up relationships and things. But I'm super proud of myself, but also, the team of people I had around me, like without, Hadley, making all this sacrifice to allow me to kind of spend all this time writing the book, without Josie, who I trust and had in my corner to kind of keep the business ticking along really well when I couldn't be available, without these amazing team at Murdoch to make sense of my dribble and be sounding boards when I needed them. It wouldn't have happened. But yeah, it's really good. It's just, I think I said at the start that it's supposed to be a big question that I was going to answer at the end of it, the process of writing it. But I've got more questions than I had to begin with now. I feel like every one of those chapters could be another book.
Yeah.
In a way.
I thought the same thing when I was driving here today, because I love the book, by the way.
Oh,
I'm not
thanks.
just saying that because I'm interviewing you, because it helped me as someone who hasn't studied horticulture, hasn't studied garden design, just learns as I go from asking questions and Googling things or asking people. I remember, because I mentioned Jo Ferguson's garden. She's a garden designer down at Flinders in Victoria. And I remember going to her garden and being overwhelmed by where do you start and how do you work out which plants to put together? Like, I was overwhelmed by the process. And I love that this is it's not a manual on how to recreate someone's garden, but it gives you the steps and gives you the concrete things to think about for your own space.
Yeah, I hope so.
So practical as well as inspirational. So it feels like what I see in the book is achievable and it's really accessible. So like you said, it's not that academic language where you're understanding 2D and 3D layers, which is brilliant. But for someone who is starting at the place of overwhelm, we've got to reduce that and say, here's how you approach it.
Well, there's plenty of those books around that are, hard to, for a beginner gardener or designer to really break down. But yeah, I'm hoping that, what I've learnt is translated in my own voice and that I just treat it like I'm speaking to anyone, and I hope it comes across on any level. Yeah. So that's the plan.
That's it. It's not just for beginners. Like, there's so much to learn at any level. And I love all the stuff about climates. So it's not just for one type of climate.
Yeah.
It's for all. And that's the subtitle is, isn't it? It's to do with the modern Australian landscape. So all that changing climate. Because like you said, Darwin is so different to Cairns, to Melbourne, to Adelaide. So
and to think about that, and to think about some of those, when you're creating your own, planting design, to think about hedging your bets really. And we don't just think about it drying out like we might in Victoria.
Yeah.
But, we've just been through some of the wettest years in history through the La Nina years. And plants had to sit in water for 3 months of the year. These dry garden plants. And so they not only have to be drought tolerant, they have to be extremophiles essentially and adaptable. So the more we can test and kind of predict as best as we can about, planting plants that are going to do well in a drying or high humidity climate or whatever it may be for your space, just think, a few years ahead. Yeah.
There's so much we could talk about.
I know.
And it's so good. That's why you need the book. So if you haven't got it, go grab the book. It's so good. Well, are you ready for some quick fire questions?
Absolutely. Hit me.
All right. What's your favourite floaty grass for maximum floof?
Maximum floof.
Or froth?
Froth. My favourite would probably be Calamagrostis. And I know how common it is, but it's such a generous doer. It's really great in dry. It does all its growing, first of all, in spring.
Mm-hmm.
So it dries out really well because there's moisture in the soil and it's really reached its growing crescendo by the time the rain stops, at least in, this climate.
Yeah.
In the wet, it just erupts out of the ground. It's like this slow kind of, charging forth. And then it's got all these different personalities through the year. So it will start with kind of an open, frothy seed head. It's really open and there's a lot of movement because it's very tall, and then it slowly closes up and kind of it ties really well to, say, the good and bad, the wheaty weeds and stuff that we have.
Yeah.
But also the native grasses, some of the ostrostipes and things. It closes up into that kind of long spear. It's really architectural. It has really great colour in autumn, and it stands strong into winter. Provides a huge amount of nesting material for birds. You can watch them here in winter, come and take it all off. It looks good in singles, looks good in big ribbons running through things. Saying that, I do love the bog standard Poa Lab.
Oh, yeah.
As well. It's just bloody bomb-proof.
Yeah. So good. Okay. A delightful, surprising planting combination you've stumbled upon recently.
Planting combination. It's going to sound really weedy. I've got a little section that I called it my Suki bed, but it's the one that I kind of walk through and past, and I'm always looking and jamming things in and coming up with layers, trying to stack that bed. So I'm kind of, there's this succession to everything. Mm-hmm. But at the moment, I've got some weedier things running through that I'm working out are weedier. But I've got Anthriscus. What's Anthriscus called? Cow parsley. Mm-hmm. That's running through like it's like this very delicate umbel with burgundy feathery leaves. But the umbels are very slow moving and they're kind of floating along the top of, I've got, what is it? At the base, there's another self-sower, which is the Eschscholzia, the California poppy, but the really nice yellow one, which is, I can't remember what it's called, that soft buttery yellow. Mm-hmm. They're just looking so nice together, and they're finding some, I edit them out, but they're finding some, some patterns and rhythms to them at the moment, kind of the bottom layer and the top layer. Yep. In there I've got this really nice Cretian thyme that's flowering at the moment. It's kind of this deep purple. What else is in the front there? Oh, I'm loving, I'm just putting them everywhere, filling every gap with Pycnoceras, the billy buttons.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm just loving the way they're integrating into, the scenes that I'm creating, because they're anything that is that kind of emergent that is supposed to be out competed by something else when they have their moment. That's what I'm loving at the moment. Those plants that are really like, it's my time. Yeah. Yeah.
Yep. Notice me, I'm here.
Yeah, I'm here. And then something will be in next week.
Yep. Oh, it's so good. All right. Where is one garden where you've felt the whoosh feeling? So that feeling when you walk in there and you're like,
Oh, do you know, it was, and it's not like it's my style of garden. It's very cottage, straight line formality to it, but with a very exuberant border. When I walked into Frogmore Gardens, Jack and Zena's place do you know that garden?
No.
It's not there anymore. I think it's there, but it's not open to public anymore. He stopped growing. He had a nursery and 5-acre garden.
Oh, wow.
It's very close to the Garden of St. Earth. Mm-hmm. And I first visited it with the gardeners there on a day trip. It's in Barry's Reef. Mm-hmm. my heart stopped at his borders. He only opens it at the perfect time. He's a very traditional horticultural grower who brings naturalism in, but he just understands plants so well and colour.
Mm-hmm.
And he works on a stacked layered approach, but it's also about timing. So he times it for that April, end of summer hit, and he's got these hot borders and he's got cool borders, white gardens. He's got like a prairie garden. And I just remember my head being blown, and I've since, first seeing it, was lucky enough to kind of go out there in the off seasons. And when I got rained off, when I was working up around Trentham, I'd often go and just talk to him for hours.
Oh, wow.
In the studio, yeah, and just go, here, this is what I'm talking about. You've got to do it like this. Yeah, I remember that feeling, that whoosh. That's a good way to put it. It's like that tingle of excitement about what's possible.
Mm. Awesome.
That'd be it.
Okay. One word or sentence to describe how you feel when you're in your garden.
I feel at peace. Yeah. I love those. I think I posted something on Instagram the other day, but it was one of those moments that, you're the constant worst critic of your own garden. You're like, what are you doing, mate? But every so often the light's just right and the garden's kind of ticking all the boxes, and it might not be the whole garden. It's just this one little vignette. And that happened. I walked out of the shed the other day and went, oh, okay, I'm happy with that.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, that was a nice moment. That's what it's all about, striking those chords.
Mm. Beautiful. Okay, last question.
Mm-hmm.
Someone from history or still alive that you'd love to sit down with and listen to their garden stories?
I would love to. I mean, it probably should be someone in Australia, but I've just, through my career, I've always been fascinated with Beth Chateau. I've never been to a garden, but I've got all of her books, and I just love what an amazing plants woman she was. And she's a florist. I think it's really amazing that she was a florist as well, the way she kind of paired plants together. Because I find it in my own garden when I go out and pick and bring plants inside, it's where you really get to it's like taking a photo of a garden. You really get to sit and observe and digest how they look together. And there's so many different ranges to her garden. She's in a very dry climate in England, well, dry for England at least. And so her gravel garden's probably the most famous one, but she's, done a lot with bog gardens and a bit of scree stuff. And yeah, I'd love to sit down with her. I'd also love to sit down with Dan Pearson though and pick his brain.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. That's my my horticultural crush, I'd say.
Oh, he's incredible.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can totally understand that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's great.
Maybe if you go to England, you can see both of them.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, or not Beth anymore.
Or not Beth anymore, yeah. So
I can get her a garden
gardens.
though.
Yeah.
I think it lives on. She's got a really great head gardener that's still running the show there.
Yeah. So good. Oh, well, thank you so much for today and for sharing your journey, your wisdom, your plants, and just being so generous in writing this book for everyone. Like you said, it was, a bit of a journey and labor of love, but also
absolutely
brought you so many more questions. So I want to thank you for being a guest today on the Sentimental Gardener podcast.
Thank you. It's my pleasure to have you in my tiny little studio.
Thanks, Tim.
Cheers.
Here's something in this conversation that keeps going round in my head. It's the idea that your garden isn't something you control. It's something you enter into a relationship with. And we all know that a healthy relationship is one where there is freedom, mutual respect, and trust. And the more I sit with that, the more it feels like this applies far beyond gardening. Because so many times in life, We focus so much on trying to get things right, shaping things so they work, rearranging things so they look good. And yet, the way Tim talks about gardens, it moves away from control entirely. It's all about paying attention and working with what's already there, even when it's unexpected or shifting or not what you planned. And a big part of that is his learning through doing, through trying things, through getting it wrong, through watching what works and what doesn't and adjusting from there. Not having all the answers before you begin, but letting the garden teach you as you go. And I keep thinking about him carrying plants from one garden to another, and I love that. That reminder that something living can hold memories like that it can move with you, change with you, and still belong. And maybe that's part of what we're all drawn to in our gardens. Not just their beauty, but the permission to not have it all figured out. To let things evolve, to let go and let things be a bit wild, and to trust that something meaningful is happening even when it doesn't look the way we expected. Now, I don't have a neat way to tie that up today, but it's something I'll be thinking about next time I'm in the garden, noticing what's growing, and probably in a few other parts of my life too. If this conversation gave you something to sit with as well today, I'm really glad you were here. And if you've enjoyed this conversation today, consider leaving a review on Apple or Spotify, because it really helps other people who love conversations like this find this podcast. And if you're interested in all things Sentimental Gardener, you can find more at the website thesentimentalgardener.com. Also, consider coming over to Patreon, where you get ad-free episodes, extra content at the Sentimental Friends episodes, and ask future guests questions. Just head to patreon.com/thesentimentalgardener. Original music composed and performed by Hayden Schuler from Varaya Gardening. Audio support by the wonderful Tom Dowding. And this podcast is produced and edited by me, Cass Dowding.